Florida's service sales coach, Joe Crisara.
Welcome to the Service MVP Podcast, the show that helps home service professionals master high-value sales, build stronger client relationships, and grow their business like never before. Join industry experts as they share real strategies that drive results. If you're ready to level up your service game, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
It's the Service MVP Podcast.
So they're giving this quote. So I kind of see the logic in it. The consumer's getting a quote just on the equipment, thinking that everything else is cool. And of course, the contractor goes in and says, well, actually, your ductwork is undersized, or it's got raccoons going into the supply ductwork, or you had, the moisture damage or insulation fell apart. And so now there's additional stuff. And I guess that's where I come in, where they would say, Joe, it's actually worse than I thought. The system, put the system in, it wouldn't work with the ductwork you have. And so I do have solutions I redid to take the equipment you did and put it into this other thing that would do that. Is that kind of what you're doing? Kind of like almost like a lead turnover, right? Like, here's the basic thing, and if you want to upgrade it, we have to get the job done right. Here's all the other things that are needed that you couldn't calculate without seeing the house. The gas, we have to run all new gas pipe, or we have to run all new ductwork or whatever. So is that the way contractors are positioning it? Like, this is good job. You got that's a good system. Which one do you like? I like the middle one. All right, well, let's go take a look at the system and confirm it can be put in. Is that kind of like what we're looking at there?
As you know, I mean, you're the king of HVAC sales, right? So you understand the idea of like giving options, and you've been preaching that for a while. So we're really big on that too. Is like, hey, like you don't want to have just one option. People feel like they're limited, and really, each contractor is different. But as you can see from the medley heating and air conditioning I gave you, or the example I gave you there, they have a very big range. So from the good, better, best, like there's a $10,000 range. There's plenty of range given to where the homeowner feels comfortable. They're like, oh, okay, I got what I'm looking for. I'm kind of in this range or this idea of price. Now I'm a little bit curious, a little bit more. Okay, what is it exactly going to be? And that's where when the CSR calls them and books that into an appointment, then the technician goes out there, runs the appointment, and really fits either the system that they selected or just puts them into the right system based on, the education. We don't see a world, to be honest with you, Joe, there's some people in this industry where think that, you're going to be able to buy an AC unit online. We're not really moving in that direction. I think people are getting a little bit ahead of themselves, right? Like, what if somebody buys the wrong unit, right? And then now all of a sudden you're having
the early adopters or the early pioneers of what you're doing made it sound like that. Honestly, that was the mistake when they brought it to market. There was other people who I know actually very well, but the mistake they made, I think, was when they brought it to the contract. It's like, yeah, give your quote online. Everybody's doing it online. And it's like, dude, that's not going to be, all the technician inside of us is like, dude, that's not going to be accurate. That's silly, So I think it's it's a point which bears repeating over and over, is that you're not going to buy an air conditioning unit online. No, but you will give the consumer what they want. It's sort of like, here's the different things that are available. And then we have to come and look at the rest of it too, because the system itself, the equipment is only a small percentage of the whole picture. It's got the control system, the duct system, the air quality system. Probably is 25% of the picture, and so you're giving them that piece, which gets them started, and then you come in and show the rest of it. And that's
you still want margin, right? Like contractors still want to make money, and so. You don't want to race to the bottom and be the cheapest guy, obviously. And, it still requires, fitting the sales call or whatever we want to call it, consultation or whatever people call it nowadays. But really, this is a platform to help people convert, their leads into appointments.
I completely understand that. And I know that, how many years you've been working on this project for, Marco?
It's been almost a couple of years now.
2 years now. But I mean, every time you go to a trade show, and I met you, we were joining booths at a trade show in at one of the trade shows we went to together. It was a great time we had together there, and we both took we were on social media together, so it was great. We did a little mini interview with each other and stuff like that. That was great. But I think a lot of the misconception is that this, like, you probably get the negativity, like, yeah, you're not going to get an accurate quote online. It's like, Joe, we're not trying to do that. We're just trying to get the lead in your company. That's what we're trying to
Yeah.
do. And so how much practice have you had to kind of like deflect some of the negativity that some contractors have? I think it's based on the original the original concept that went to market, which is that,
Mhm.
yeah, you're going to get a quote online, which isn't really accurate, honestly, there. So tell us about how you overcome that negativity with contractors, the skeptical mind that this is going to be any good. Tell us a little bit about how that works. What do you do
Yeah.
about that?
Really, the biggest objections are, number one, why do we want to do pricing? It's just going to scare people away.
Mm,
Um, that show that we went to, the Service World, were right next to
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
We had a client come up to us. It's a company called Aim High HVAC of
Mhm,
Denver, Colorado. They sold a $27,000 replacement job in the first week of using the quote tool.
mhm,
And so, like, it's guys like that that realize that homeowners are looking for a price, they're looking for at least a range. The homeowners understand that you can't give an exact price on an AC unit, but let's be honest, we can at least give a range. And so, using a tool like HVAC Quote, you can set up your pricing in 10, 15 minutes. It's nothing crazy. You set up a range. The whole idea, like you were saying earlier, is to capture the lead. And so that way you get a higher quality lead and a higher quality appointment for your business. And your techs are going to love running these type of appointments too. Like if you get them a bunch of appointments through this tool, they're going to love running those type
mhm,
of leads in their business as well. Another objection we get is, what happens after, right? Like after you generate a lead, what happens after? And we want to make sure that all of their, whoever's running that appointment, whoever's calling that appointment gets that. So if it's a CSR, the lead needs to be put into HVAC quote. Instantly, it starts getting automation following up with that lead. And so no lead goes untouched. And so we call it new lead follow up. When a new lead
mhm,
comes in, you want to follow up with that lead consistently before anybody else does. And or you could call it speed to lead. Some people call it speed
mhm,
to lead
mhm.
to convert more of your leads into appointments. But people want to know, like, okay, what happens then? And
Yeah, I get
the
that.
whole idea is to have your CSR call, book the appointment, and you guys can go out there and close it.
I really like that. I really like what you're doing there. And I think to me, transparency is really the thing that consumers all want. Like, if you can't show me what you got, then what are you hiding from me, right? Like,
Right.
so the contractors who don't have it, I guess you look at it like, well, what are they hiding if they don't even put their pricing out there? What are they hiding from you? Give you a kind of a unique. You're kind of giving people a built-in unique selling proposition where other contractors who don't have this, they're kind of lacking that proposition. Does that make sense, sir? And and
Yeah.
I think it is incumbent on people like us at Service MVP to transition from the lead coming in to creating that relationship, looking at the ductwork, the control system, the gas, whatever you're looking at. You're saying, oh, we're going to look at everything, and then we're going to give you your quote on the equipment. It stands firm, but we can apply that to the rest of the things we would need here to make it work. And I don't think that any space age 2026 equipment is going to fit into some ductwork from 1985. Uh,
Yeah.
so you're going to have to
Yeah.
do some modification and things that, it's not an exact fit. So you got to say, hey, we have to
There's going to be some
do
fitting.
further modifications, and it's only going to be like $19 a month more if you did that
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of a
Yeah.
thing there. So I think that's the part about that I think people miss, and that the client, I feel, gets a transparent experience from start to finish. And so just to make sure that we're clear, the actual contractor, when he presents the solution he purchased online to the consumer, he still has familiar looking equipment. Everything he chose is there. We're just going to put on a different presentation using Service Titan or whatever software you use, Airship or whatever you're using to quote this thing to people so that they can actually get the quote that includes everything. And
Right.
maybe
Right.
maybe even the bottom three would just be the equipment only, and maybe the top three would have the ductwork and the air quality and whatever else they didn't know about. Is that kind of it? Because I love the fact that it's got three options. what I'm seeing there is a great way of doing it because you're not going too far. And that's about right because you're about 50% of this thing is the equipment, and the rest of it is everything else. So let me give you all the options, which I create 6 options for people is my thing, which would be twice as many as that, and which makes sense, right? Because you're adding the ductwork, the control system, the electrical, and all the power supply and the stuff like that. To me, it's really a brilliant concept, and I really like it. Thank you for listening and watching the Service MVP podcast. I want to give you a copy of my free book. Just click on the link below in the description, and one will be sent to you from me personally. Thank you so much for listening.